Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there. In Canada, we're celebrating Thanksgiving today, and I had all my family stuff yesterday, so normally we do our pricing videos on Sunday, but gonna do it today on Monday. But happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there, and you know, it's always a great thing to think of, something you're really thankful for in life, and it helps you be more positive in life. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there from all us Canadians here. And but yeah, you know what? Mentioned it's our pricing video that we normally do on Sundays. So normally I would have done it yesterday, but a lot of family stuff. So doing our pricing video today. Let's get right into the list here, though. All these are US dollar prices, all CGC 9.8s. I'm going to have a list in the description below of all the prices and the books we talk about. And I always say, you know, the best thing you can do as a collector and an investor, a comic book investor and collector, is to just know the current prices for all those key issues that you really like, whatever key issue it might be. In this case, we focus on these CGC 9.8 books from the 80s and 90s on this channel mostly. So that's kind of, yeah, pretty much all these books are in that range. Some modern books as well. But yeah, let's get right into the list and, stay on top of these prices, be more knowledgeable of the current market conditions, and you're never going to overpay if, you know all the great prices for the books that you want. So first book here, Spawn #1 in a newsstand version. One of those sold for $380. And, this is a book I really wanted, and I really was thinking about grabbing this one, and it ended on a Saturday night, and this auction, and I was just so busy on Saturday night, I wasn't really able to get a bid in, and I probably would have bid right around 380. Not too sure, kind of in the moment until what you're exactly going to bid, but yeah, Spawn #1 newsstand for about $380. I would say that's a fair price right now. Yeah, they were really hitting about 400 last year when there was all those rumors of a Spawn movie. And then I think they kind of came down to 350, maybe even a little bit under. But, one going for 380 last week kind of maybe seems like it could be heating up. You never know, though. Just one sale, but a decent price, I would say. Not the best price, maybe can grab one for under 350, a little bit under 350. Another really good price on a key issue here. Ultimate Fallout 4, #4, first appearance of Miles Morales, new Spider-Man. A little bit of a caveat with this issue because, CGC 9.8, nice looking new case. This one sold for $326.79, but this book was in the United Kingdom. So it was in England, and, $326.79 is definitely near the lower end for first appearance of Miles Morales in the CGC 9.8. Most of the time, those are going for about $400. If it's from, a decent seller in the United States, about $400. So yeah, $326.79. That's a pretty good deal for sure. And I was watching this one, and this is a book I like to watch, and, modern books aren't really my cup of tea, even though I do have a lot of modern books, or, a couple modern CGC 9.8 in the moderns. One I was watching, and, maybe I probably should have, threw in a kind of 340 bid or something like that, and maybe I would have won it. Next book here, really popular book at this time, Thor #337, first Beta Ray Bill. This is a newsstand edition, CGC 9.8 newsstand edition that sold. Really nice looking book, from a kind of a reputable seller, that one of my actual favorite sellers that I did on my favorite seller video. Posted this one in a fire sale auction. So these are in general where you're going to get a pretty good deal usually in these fire sale auctions. So this one went for $409.77. So first Beta Ray Bill in a newsstand edition, a little more rare than a direct edition, sold for $409.77. Pretty decent price. I would say that's kind of a full price, but a newsstand version, you got to kind of pay up for a book like that. Really rare, and first Beta Ray Bill, you can't really expect to get a great deal, I would say, on that. Next book is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #95, and this is a modern book, so just came out a couple months ago, where Jennika becomes a Ninja Turtle, so the first girl Ninja Turtle, essentially. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #95 in the first print, blue label, not signed by anyone. One of those went for $95. And that's a pretty good price, actually. I've seen one go for, because I have one of these already, and I ended up kind of overpaying for mine, and certainly I think it was a bit of an emotional decision, but I've seen one go for $102, and I've seen another one go for $127.50, and I've seen one go for $139.99. So this one going for $95. So yeah, I think that issue's kind of coming down into that sort of like Immortal Hulk, like first Immortal Hulk, you know, kind of like modern key issue range. Whereas when it first came out, because everyone was really excited about the first Girl Ninja Turtle, the price may have been inflated quite a bit. But this is a book I think has a lot of long-term potential. So at $95, first, you know, Jennika becomes a Ninja Turtle. First Jennika, essentially, female Ninja Turtle. I think it's a really good buy for $95. Next book here, Amazing Spider-Man number 300. So saw a few sell last week, so I thought I'd bring out all my 300s. I have 2 in the newsstand in the raw copies. So I do have some raw comics, not not very much. I got 2 long boxes of raw comics, basically. They're pretty much full. But you know, nowadays just usually really focus on the CGC 9.8s. Every now and then at cons, I'll buy like some raw comics possibly. But I got 2 newsstands in the raw. These are about very fine, you know, not super, you know, in great condition. But in the newsstand version, it's a little more rare. And obviously, Amazing Spider-Man CGC 9.8, I got one. So 2 of them sold last week. And I mentioned this on my actual Amazing Spider-Man 300 video that I did not too long ago. I think it was my last video. So 2 sold. One sold for $1,980, and another one sold for $2,000. So these were looking really good too. I mentioned, you know, in my Amazing Spider-Man 300 video, the slight differences in this issue matters a lot. So that if the background's really deep red and it's well centered, it's going to go for about $2,000, maybe even a little over. I've seen them go for like $2,050, $2,100, where they look really, really good. A really solid 9.8. So these were very solid 9.8s, I have to say. So yeah, one went for $1,980, one went for $2,000. Next book here, Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. This is the first Ultimate title, and I think this is a really cool book. It was a buy it now from one of my favorite sellers, often this seller, and I certainly recommend to check out my top 4 eBay favorite seller video that I made about a week ago. Because this one seller always, even their buy it nows are very competitively priced. So they'll post CGC 9.8 auctions quite often as well, but their buy it nows are even really good prices. So Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, the Dynamic Forces edition of this book, which is a little more rare than the kind of normal first print, I guess you could say. This one went for $150 in the CGC 9.8. And I think that's a really good price for this book. First Ultimate book, and I think that's going to be a big, quite a big thing, because essentially the Miles Morales has like kind of come over from the Ultimate, and now it's like Miles Morales Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure is my understanding. So in a sense, this is kind of the first, like, it's not the first Miles Morales, but it's the first kind of comic title that Miles Morales appeared in, even though this came out years before Miles Morales, obviously. But $150 for the Dynamic Forces Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, CGC 9.8. Not bad. Really good lesson here on this next issue. Savage She-Hulk number 1. I mentioned, when that She-Hulk announcement came out, we did our pricing video that week, and Savage She-Hulk's in the CGC 9.8 number 1, first appearance of She-Hulk. A lot of those were going for $550. I think there were literally like 11 that sold that week for $550 in the CGC 9.8. There was like so many. And so last week, one sold I saw for $399.99 or best offer. So probably sold for about $350 because it wouldn't have sold for $400 for the full $399.99. So this is back down to kind of a normal price for this book. And I mentioned it on that video that it's a quite, like, you can predict how the prices go nowadays. It's just, an announcement comes out for maybe 2, 3, maybe 2 weeks. Yeah, 2, maybe 3 weeks. The prices inflate as the sort of media promotion and hype kind of inflates and ramps up. So for this issue, it was going for $550 during that promotional phase, and a month and a half later now, back down to normal prices. So this is why I always really recommend to, never buy a book because you see a trailer and then you go out on eBay and buy it. Like, that's probably the worst thing you can do. if you're buying CGC 9.8 books, because yeah, there's inflated prices out there, especially during promotional events, cons, movies, shows, all, you know, announcements, trailers, all that. Got to watch out for that. I'd never recommend to buy a book, you know, after seeing a trailer or getting pumped up about something and going, oh, you know, you just buy what you love, you know, think about what you really, really like, think about all those covers that really you loved or whatever they might be, and go buy those before the movies come out, or go buy those when there's no hype, you know, within the market. Because yeah, Savage She-Hulk, this $3.99 OBO was probably about $3.50, and literally a month ago they were going for $5.50. So you save yourself $200 if you're buying a book like this in like a promotional type phase. You just wait a little bit, be patient, and that's another thing we talk about a lot, is being really patient most of the time. Every now and then you can jump on kind of a buy it now if you see a competitively priced buy it now, but most of the time in comic book collecting, being patient is like really important so you don't overpay. So next book here, Amazing Spider-Man number 200. So this is the Origin Retold, and it's got a pretty cool cover too. I've liked this book just from kind of seeing it and having like cool cover, and it's pretty old too. So you know, in the CGC 9.8, kind of cool to have a really old Spidey book with a really cool cover in the CGC 9.8. One of these in an auction went for $107.50. And I think that's a really good price for you know, how old this book is, and pretty cool cover. Origin of Spidey Retold, like that's a pretty great price. Next book is an Avenging Spider-Man number 9. So a modern book here. This is the first Carol Danvers becomes Captain Marvel, basically as Captain Marvel. So really kind of associated with the Captain Marvel movie. This was really hot when that came out. This one, though, it was in the CBCS 9.8. So CBCS 9.8, Avenging Spider-Man number 9, went for $180.27. In an auction, too. Fire sale auction. So this is probably one of the better prices you're going to get for a book like that. Like at this time. Maybe if once the Captain Marvel hype, you know, years down the road completely dies down, this book might be a little bit less money, but yeah, and a CBCS 9.8, I always say, like, they're kind of hard to find, the CBCSs. They're not as many as CGC, but you can get deals in CBCS 9.8s if you're just kind of buying the book rather than the grading company. You know, yeah, I got to do a kind of a full video on CBCS and CGC, though, one of these days for sure. Kind of the differences and what I think about, you know, should you buy some CBCSs or CGCs? Because I think I do have some good thoughts on that. Next book here, Watchmen number 1. This was a signature series book signed by Dave Gibbons, who did the cover and art, so the art, and this one went for $1,000. So Watchmen number 1 is quite a popular book. I think in the blue label they go for about, you know, maybe $550 to $650, kind of in that range. So really popular book, first appearance of all the Watchmen. This one signed by, you know, the artist. So $1,000 even for Watchmen number 1 signature series, but a really good looking book. Kind of the signature looked quite good too, like kind of how it was centered and everything. Next book is a book I've completely thought about buying many times. Secret Wars number 8 is the origin of the symbiote, the Venom costume. Really cool cover, classic issue. This one. So one of these went for $248.50 last week, and this one had that really kind of deep red back cover rather than the sort of pink black cover. This is another issue where those differences are those slight differences in the CGC 9.8s will differ in the price. You know, if you get kind of maybe a dimmer background with not as good color and it's maybe not centered, I've seen this issue go for under $200, so kind of like $180, $190. But last week, a really good looking copy went for $248.50, and that's, yeah, a good example of those slight differences, how they can affect price. Next book here is Killing Joke in the first print. One of those last week went for $179.99. And that's like a bang-on average price, I would say, which somewhat surprises me. You know, you think with the Joker movie, you know, maybe this issue might have got over $200. The thing about the Killing Joke is, and I've said this in the past, I don't really recommend it as an investment grade book. Because there's just so many on the census, and it's a really classic cover and everything, but there's no first appearance or anything. So combined with there's so many on the census, no first appearance, I just think this will probably be like $180 to $200 forever, almost. But not, like, I have one in the CGC. It's still, you know, if you love Joker, it's still a book that you need to get. But just be really patient. And yeah, 180 I would say would be probably a fair price, but you could probably get it for a little bit less too. So yeah, be patient on that book if you really want it, because there's so many CGC 9.8s on the census. Next book here is Batman 497. This is where Bane breaks Batman's back, and this version was the direct version with the kind of folded over cover, so the less rare version, I guess you could say. The newsstand version is more rare. Batman 497 went for $55.55. And I think that's a good deal. You know, this book you see a lot of buying now is kind of near the $100 mark. But if you wait for an auction on this one, it kind of goes for that, like 50 to 60 bucks, I would say. Next book here is one I hadn't really seen too much of, and, you know, thought it was just a really amazing cover. It's X-Men number 24, and it's a classic Gambit and Rogue kissing cover. So Gambit and Rogue are kind of kissing on the front. X-Men number 24, not Uncanny X-Men, just, you know, X-Men 24, Jim Lee X-Men 24 kind of X-Men. So this book, really classic cover, I think, great looking cover, went for $81 in an auction in, you know, CGC 9.8, X-Men number 24, and Gambit and Rogue kissing cover. Yeah, really kind of harkens back to X-Men the animated series, where you know, Gambit and Rogue were always romantically involved in that. And yeah, really cool cover. I actually hadn't really seen too much of that issue, and when I saw it on the research, I'm like, ooh, like, you know, for 80 bucks, like, kind of cool actually. So I'm gonna keep that one in mind. Next book, sticking with the Gambit theme, Uncanny X-Men number 266. One of these on an auction, kind of a fire sale week auction, went for $343, and that's like a bang on, you know, good fair price in an auction for this book, like $343. You do see, like, buying nows in this book, people trying to get $450, $500, you know. But you know, if you're pretty patient on this book, you do see auctions maybe once or twice a month pop up of a nice looking, you know, Uncanny X-Men 266. So yeah, $343 I would say is a good fair price, and that's kind of a price to keep in mind if one pops up and you might want one. You know, maybe you bet $350 and hopefully you win. Next book is Amazing Spider-Man number 361, first appearance of Carnage. This one is a signature series book that sold, and it was in an auction too, so not a buy it now or anything. In an auction, signature series signed by Stan Lee and Mark Bagley. So that's kind of the holy grail of signature series books, I would say, for First Carnage. You know, signed by Stan the Man and Mark Bagley, who created Carnage. So this book went for $710. And so with the signature series, $710. I have two of these without the signature series, and they go for, you know, $350 to $400. Basically, I have a newsstand version. Those usually go for a little bit over $400, and the direct versions go anywhere from $350 to $400. So you get it signed by Stan and Bagley, CGC 9.8, $710. I think that's actually a really good price. Yeah, it's certainly an investment grade book. There's so many of these in the CGC 9.8 that the signature series books, I think, could be a good way to go with that book, actually. So last book here is a Venom First Host. So a modern book, this one. I thought it was a really cool cover. A Clayton Crane Virgin variant cover, and it's an Amazing Spider-Man 300 homage. And this one went for $55. Really great looking Virgin variant by Clayton Crane. Venom First Host number 1 it was. And I wanted to show you this, or, you know, let you know about this book with the Amazing Spider-Man 300 homage, because, you know, the original Amazing Spider-Man obviously is a book I completely recommend as an investment grade book, and one of my reasons is there's just so many, like, Amazing Spider-Man 300 homages that I think that's going to be a real big positive long term, where, you know, these new books, modern books that younger kids are in general are buying, you know, they're going to get their taste of Amazing Spider-Man 300. And then, you know, once, you know, new collectors and being young, and when you see these homages and then you go back, oh, like, you want to see the original, and then you see the original, and, you know, it's just such a great cover, and, you know, Todd McFarlane. And so, yeah, just, you know, this book, I kind of wanted to make that point that there's so many Amazing Spider-Man 300 homages, And I think that's another reason why this book is a really good investment grade book. It's just, so ingrained throughout the comic book culture. The Amazing Spider-Man 300 with, the classic Todd McFarlane circle, and, all the Todd McFarlane elements that, this book has just, been homaged so many times. And I think that really sets it up good long term to just, again, be kind of ingrained in the culture of comic books and, superheroes and all that stuff. So, yeah, another reason why to recommend Amazing Spider-Man 300 in the CGC 9.8 or raw copies, whatever you can afford, as an investment grade book. Yeah. And that's it. That's the last book on the list for today. And, yeah, you know what I always say? You can watch this video once a week and get the prices on this video. But, if you do this once or twice a week for 3 or 4 months, you're going to have a really good idea of all the prices for all the key issues in the CGC 9.8 that you might want. And when you know that, you're rarely going to overpay because, all these books, they're not as rare as you might think. Most CGC 9.8s, if you're really on them, 2, 3, or 4 will pop up a month on eBay. So if you're patient, it depends on the book. Some are really rare, but if you're patient and you know all the prices, you're almost never going to overpay. And that's what these videos are all about, doing these pricing videos. Usually every Sunday, but because of Thanksgiving this weekend, doing it on Monday today. That'll be all for today's video, though. Want to invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. Yeah, I'd love to have you on the team here. Still in the early stages of this channel, I think. 4 months maybe we've been doing it, maybe a bit longer. But need all the subscribers we can get. So add me on Instagram and Twitter as well. Really appreciate that. All the links are in the description below. Got the list in the description below with all the prices too. So you can use that for a resource. Thank you very much for watching today. I'll see you on the next video.